My name is Jessica Chen, and at my sister's wedding reception, my uncle stood up during the toast and said, "Well, at least one Chen daughter figured out how to make something of herself." Too bad Jessica couldn't follow her sister's example. The room erupted in uncomfortable laughter while I sat there, the family disappointment in my simple black dress, watching my perfect sister Ashley glow in her $15,000 wedding gown. What they didn't know was that hidden in my purse was an email. That would change everything. 3 hours later, my phone rang. My boss's voice cut through the wedding chaos. "Jessica, I know it's Saturday, but I couldn't wait until Monday. The board just approved it. You're our new youngest vice president in company history. The promotion comes with a $200,000 salary and immediate relocation to our Manhattan headquarters." The silence that followed as I put the call on speaker was deafening. My family's faces went from smug superiority to complete shock as they realized the disappointment had just earned everyone in that room combined. If you're watching this, hit that like button and subscribe, because the story gets so much better. Drop your location in the comments. I want to know where my fellow underdogs are watching from. This is about a family who spent years making me feel worthless, not knowing I was quietly building an empire they couldn't even comprehend. Chen family operated on a strict hierarchy of success, and I had always been firmly planted at the bottom. My parents, David and Linda Chen, immigrated from Taiwan in the 1980s with nothing but determination and traditional values about what constituted achievement. My older sister Ashley was their golden child, valedictorian, pre-med at Stanford. Married to a successful surgeon, living in a beautiful suburban home with 2 perfect children. She was everything our parents had dreamed of when they sacrificed everything to come to America. Then there was me. While Ashley excelled in traditional academics, I was drawn to technology and business. I taught myself coding at 12, built my first app at 15, and chose a state school for computer science instead of pursuing the pre-med track my parents desperately wanted. "Jessica always has to be different," my mother would sigh to relatives. "Why can't she just follow a normal path like Ashley?" Family gatherings became showcases for Ashley's achievements, while my accomplishments were dismissed or ignored. When I graduated summa cum laude with a computer science degree, the conversation at dinner focused on Ashley's medical school acceptance. When I landed my first job at a tech startup, they worried I was wasting my education on computers. "Technology. It is unstable," my father would lecture. "Doctors will always be needed. What happens when computers become obsolete?" The irony was painful. They were living in the future I was helping to build, yet they couldn't see its value. What my family didn't understand was that I wasn't just playing with computers. I was systematically building expertise in artificial intelligence and machine learning at a time when most people had never heard those terms. My first job at TechFlow Solutions started as a junior developer position, but I quickly distinguished myself by identifying inefficiencies in our client management systems and proposing AI-driven solutions that saved companies millions. Within 2 years, I was leading a team of developers twice my age. Within 3 years, I was consulting directly with Fortune 500 companies on digital transformation strategies. But when I tried to share these achievements with my family, they were met with polite disinterest. "That's nice, dear," my mother would say before immediately changing the subject to Ashley's latest medical residency rotation or her children's soccer achievements. The breakthrough came when I developed a proprietary algorithm for predictive analytics that could forecast market trends with 94% accuracy. TechFlow's biggest client, Morrison Industries, was so impressed they offered to acquire the entire company just to get access to my technology. Instead of selling, my CEO, Sarah Morrison, made me an offer that would change my life. "Jessica, I want you to lead our new AI division. Full autonomy, unlimited budget, and equity that will make you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams." At 26, I became the youngest division head in company history, managing a team of 40 engineers and a budget of $50 million. But when I tried to explain this to my family, they just saw it as another computer job. Ashley's engagement to Dr. Michael Harrison was treated like a national holiday in our family. The wedding planning consumed every family gathering for 8 months, with my parents sparing no expense to create their dream celebration. "This is what we came to America for," my father said proudly, writing another check for wedding expenses. "To see our daughter marry a successful doctor and start a beautiful family." Meanwhile, I was quietly revolutionizing the tech industry. My AI division had just landed a $100 million contract with the Department of Defense, and I was being courted by companies offering 8-figure salaries. But none of this mattered to my family. "Jessica, can you handle the wedding favors?" my mother asked during one planning session. "It's not complicated, just something simple since you're not contributing much else." The dismissal stung, especially since I had just received a bonus larger than my father's annual salary. But I had learned to keep my achievements to myself, rather than face their indifference. The wedding preparations revealed the full extent of how my family viewed me. Ashley's friends were all successful professionals, doctors, lawyers, executives. When they asked about me, Ashley would say, "Oh, Jessica works with computers. She's very smart, but not really the social type." I was relegated to handling logistics while Ashley was celebrated at bridal showers, bachelorette parties, and engagement celebrations. The message was clear. She was the success story. I was the supporting character. 3 weeks before Ashley's wedding, Sarah Morrison called me into her office with news that would change everything. "Jessica, I'm stepping down as CEO to focus on our new ventures fund," she announced. "The board wants to restructure the company around our AI capabilities, and they want you to lead the transformation as our youngest VP in company history." The offer was staggering. Vice President of Artificial Intelligence, $200,000 base salary plus equity, new location to our Manhattan headquarters, and a team of over 100 engineers reporting to me. "There's just one catch," Sarah continued. "The board wants to announce this at the Global Tech Summit next week, which I believe conflicts with the family event. Ashley's wedding, the timing couldn't have been worse or better." "I need an answer by Monday," Sarah said. "This opportunity won't wait, and frankly, you're ready for it now. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." That weekend, I agonized over the decision. Accept the promotion and miss my sister's wedding, proving to my family that I really was the selfish disappointment they believed me to be? Or turn down the opportunity of a lifetime to maintain family peace? I thought about all the times my achievements had been dismissed, all the conversations that had been redirected away from my success, all the ways I had been made to feel like my path was somehow less valuable than Ashley's. On Sunday night, I made my decision. I would attend the wedding, but I would also accept the promotion. If my family couldn't celebrate my success, at least I would stop hiding it. Ashley's wedding was everything my parents had dreamed of: elegant, expensive, and perfectly orchestrated. The ceremony was beautiful, held in an exclusive country club, with 200 guests, most of whom I barely knew. I had chosen a simple black dress, knowing that anything too attention-grabbing would be criticized as inappropriate. Even so, I overheard my aunt commenting, "Poor Jessica, she just doesn't have Ashley's sense of style, does she?" During the cocktail hour, I found myself relegated to conversations with distant relatives who asked the same patronizing questions. "So Jessica, still working with computers? When are you going to find a nice man and settle down like your sister?" The worst part was watching Ashley bask in the attention she deserved while simultaneously witnessing how my family positioned me as the cautionary tale, the daughter who had chosen career over family, ambition over tradition. "Jessica's very independent," my mother would explain to guests, the word independent dripping with disapproval. "She's focused on her work right now." My phone had been buzzing all day with messages from colleagues congratulating me on the promotion announcement, which had been leaked to tech industry publications that morning. But I kept it silenced, not wanting to detract from Ashley's day. The reception dinner was an exercise in endurance. I sat at the family table, listening to toast after toast, celebrating Ashley's achievements, her beauty, her perfect match with Michael, her bright future. Then came my uncle's toast. Uncle Richard stood up, slightly drunk and feeling philosophical. "I want to talk about the Chen family legacy," he began, his voice carrying across the reception hall. "David and Linda came to this country with nothing, and look what they've accomplished. They raised 2 daughters, but only one really understood what success means in America." My stomach dropped as I realized where this was heading. Ashley represents everything we hope for in the next generation: education, marriage to a successful man, a stable future. She's proof that the American dream is real when you make the right choices. He raised his glass toward Ashley, who was glowing with pride and champagne. Too bad Jessica couldn't follow her sister's example. But I suppose every family needs someone to show us what not to do. The laughter that followed was nervous, but audible. I felt my face burn with humiliation as 200 people absorbed the message. That I was the family disappointment, the cautionary tale, the daughter who had failed to expectations. Ashley looked uncomfortable but said nothing. My parents smiled awkwardly, neither defending me nor correcting the narrative. I was completely alone in a room full of people who were supposed to love me. That's when my phone rang in the moment of silence following Uncle Richard's toast. Sarah Morrison's ringtone cut through the air. Every head turned toward me as I fumbled for my phone, my hands shaking with humiliation and rage. "I'm sorry," I mumbled, starting to decline the call. "Take it," Ashley said suddenly, her voice carrying across the quiet room. "It might be important." With 200 pairs of eyes on me, I answered. "The phone?" "Jessica." Sarah's voice was jubilant and loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "I know it's Saturday, but I couldn't wait until Monday. The board just approved everything. You're our new youngest vice president in company history." My heart stopped. Was it the moment that would change everything? "Sarah, I'm actually at my sister's wedding right now," I said quietly, trying to maintain some dignity. "Even better. Put me on speaker. I want to congratulate you properly, and your family should hear this news." I looked around the silent room. Uncle Richard was still standing with his glass raised, his smug expression beginning to falter. My parents looked confused. Ashley was watching me with growing curiosity. "Are you sure?" I asked Sarah, my voice barely audible. "Jessica Chen, you just became the youngest VP in our company's 50-year history. Put me on speaker right now." With trembling hands, I switched to speakerphone. Sarah's voice filled the reception hall. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sarah Morrison, CEO of TechFlow Solutions. I'm calling to inform Jessica that she's just been promoted to Vice President of Artificial Intelligence, making her the youngest VP in our company history. The position comes with a $200,000 base salary, significant equity, and immediate relocation to our Manhattan headquarters to lead our most important division." The silence was deafening. "Jessica's AI algorithms have revolutionized our industry and secured over $150 million in contracts this year alone. She's being headhunted by every major tech company in Silicon Valley, but we're thrilled she's chosen to build her future with us." I watched Uncle Richard's face transform from smugness to confusion to something approaching awe. "I also want to mention that Jessica will be featured on the cover of Tech Innovators magazine next month as one of the 30. Under 30 changing the world, we couldn't be prouder to have her leading our company into the future." When Sarah finally hung up, the reception hall remained silent for what felt like an eternity. 200 people stared at me, the family disappointment, who just been revealed as the most successful person in the room. Uncle Richard slowly lowered his glass, his face red with embarrassment. I had no idea, "Of course you didn't," I said, standing up for the first time in my life with complete confidence. "None of you did, because none of you ever asked." My mother was the first to speak. "Jessica, why didn't you tell us about any of this?" "I tried," I replied, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "Every time I mentioned my work, you changed the subject. Every achievement was dismissed as just computers. You made it clear that my success didn't matter to this family." Ashley looked stricken. Jess, I didn't know. You knew I was good at what I did, I said gently. But you also knew it wasn't valued here, so I stopped sharing. The wedding guests were beginning to murmur among themselves, processing the dramatic reversal they had just witnessed. The woman who had been publicly humiliated minutes earlier was now revealed as the most accomplished person at the celebration. My father stood up slowly. Jessica, we need to talk about this as a family. No, Dad, I said firmly. We need to talk about this right now in front of everyone who just heard Uncle Richard's assessment of my worth. I turned to address the room, my voice carrying the confidence I had never allowed myself to show in front of my family. For those who don't know me well, I'm Jessica Chen. I'm 27 years old, and I've spent the last 5 years building artificial intelligence systems that are changing how Fortune 500 companies operate. I hold 3 patents. I manage a team of over 100 engineers, and I've generated over $300 million in revenue for my company. The room is completely silent now. I've been offered positions at Google, Apple, and Microsoft. I've spoken at conferences around the world. And next month, I'll be moving to Manhattan to run the AI division of one of the fastest growing tech companies in America. I looked directly at Uncle Richard. I suppose every family does need someone to show them what success looks like in the 21st century. After the reception ended and most guests had left, my immediate family gathered in a private dining room at the country club. The atmosphere was tense, with Ashley still in her wedding dress and my parents looking shell-shocked. Why didn't you tell us? My mother asked again, her voice small. I did tell you, I replied. I told you about every promotion, every achievement, every opportunity. But you were so focused on Ashley's path that you couldn't see the value in mine. We thought you were just working at a computer company, my father said weakly. I am working at a computer company that's worth $2 billion and growing. A computer company that's shaping the future while you were worried about whether I'd ever find a husband. Ashley finally spoke up. Jess, I'm so sorry. I knew you were successful, but I didn't realize how successful. I should have supported you more. You supported me fine, I said honestly. You were living your own life, achieving your own goals. The problem wasn't you, it was the family narrative that only one type of success mattered. My mother was crying. Now, we just wanted what was best for you. We thought stability, marriage, a traditional path would make you proud, I finished. But Mom, I am stable. I'm more financially secure than anyone in this room. I'm building something that will outlast all of us. Why wasn't that enough? The question hung in the air unanswered because we all knew the truth. It wasn't about stability or success. It was about conformity to their vision of what a successful daughter should look like. What happens now? My father asked. Now I move to New York and build my career without worrying about whether it meets your approval, I said. I've spent too many years hiding my achievements because they didn't fit your definition of success. Will you still be part of this family? My mother asked, her voice breaking. The question broke my heart because it revealed how little they understood. I never stopped being part of this family, Mom, but I also never started being valued by it. 6 months later, I was settled into my corner office on the 47th floor of a Manhattan skyscraper, overlooking Central Park. My team had grown to 150 engineers, and we had just closed a $500 million contract with the federal government. The Tech Innovators magazine cover story had led to speaking engagements, board positions, and investment opportunities I never could have imagined. I was building the future, and finally, my family was beginning to understand what that meant. Ashley called me every week now, genuinely interested in my work and asking questions that showed she was trying to understand my world. She had started following tech news and would send me articles about AI developments. Proud to say her sister was mentioned in the same conversations as industry leaders. My parents' transformation was slower but real. They had framed the magazine cover and displayed it prominently in their living room. My father had even started reading tech publications, trying to understand the industry that had made their daughter successful. I saw an article about your company in the Wall Street Journal, he said during one of our weekly calls. I didn't understand all of it, but I understood that you're changing the world. The breakthrough came when my mother visited me in New York for the first time. Standing in my office, looking out at the Manhattan skyline, she finally grasped the magnitude of what I had built. I owe you an apology, she said quietly. We were so focused on the path, we understood that we couldn't see the path you were. Greeting. You don't need to apologize for wanting what you thought was best, I replied. You just need to understand that success looks different for different people. Your grandmother would be so proud, she said, tears in her eyes. She always said you had a special mind for solving problems. That evening, we had dinner at a restaurant where the server recognized me from a recent Forbes interview. As my mother watched strangers treat me with the respect and recognition she had never shown, I saw her finally understand who I had become. I want to learn about your work, she said over dessert. Really learn, not just pretend to understand. Will you teach me? It was the first time in my life that my mother had asked me to teach her anything. On the 1-year anniversary of Ashley's wedding, our family gathered again, this time to celebrate my promotion to senior vice president and my engagement to David Kim, a brilliant entrepreneur I had met at a tech conference. Uncle Richard was there, notably more humble and respectful. When he raised his glass for a toast, his words were very different from the year before. To the Chen family, he said, who taught me that success comes in many forms, and sometimes the person you least expect to change the world is the one who's already doing it. As I looked around the table at my family, imperfect, learning, but finally seeing me for who I really was, I realized that the greatest victory wasn't proving them wrong. It was helping them understand that there was never anything wrong with me in the first place. Sometimes the people who love you most are the ones who understand you least. But with patience, success, and a little dramatic revelation at a wedding reception, even the most stubborn family can learn to see the value in a different kind of dream. Have you ever felt underestimated by the people who were supposed to believe in you most? Sometimes our biggest supporters are the ones who never knew they needed to support us in the first place. Drop your stories in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about building success on your own terms. Remember, your worth isn't determined by other people's ability to recognize it. Sometimes you have to succeed so loudly that they can't ignore you anymore.